Hi, everybody. Welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live on this Monday. It's all brought to you by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the Giants. We are in the Hackensack Meridian Health Podcast Studio. Keep getting better. I am John Schmeelk. He is Paul Dottino. Just a heads up, and I guess if you're listening to this, you already know, but we are having issues with the site and the app, but we are streaming live on YouTube right now. So if you want to tune into the show, make sure you go check that out. I'll try to get him to put links up to the YouTube feed. Up on both the app and the website. We'll see if that gets up there. We're working on that right now. So I want to share a little text exchange I had with Paul Dottino in the wee hours of last night. I don't think Paul had taken off from Denver yet, and I was in the middle of my post-game show. You guys might have noticed last week I was not on Big Blue Kickoff Live at all. I had a little bit of a procedure last week. Everything is good. Prognosis is awesome. I'm in good shape. I'm fine. I'm here. We're all good. I work from home. I did the show yesterday. So I texted Paul, what was it, around 9:30 last night? Or maybe a little earlier than that, 9 o'clock?
The times are all a blur.
Something like that. And I said, hey, Paul, I called my doctor and I asked if they could schedule another surgery for me today instead of having to talk about this game. And I actually got Paul Dottino to laugh after that Giants game. So I thought that was...
You did.
I thought that was a minor miracle.
It was.
But that's kind of what felt like watching that game yesterday in the fourth quarter. As bad as you can possibly get, second straight game where the Giants take a lead with under a minute to go this year, and only to see that game fly away and turn into a loss because of and look, we can talk about a million individual plays in this game, Paul.
Yeah.
And I just wrote cover 3, and I don't want to make you even more depressed. I compared this loss to the Knicks Game 1 loss in the Eastern Conference Final to the Pacers.
Oh, man.
Where you can go back and look at least a half dozen plays, and if just one of those plays would have went a different way,
right,
the comeback would not have been possible.
Well, at least you didn't bring up Reggie Miller. Thank goodness for that.
We had callers on the post game last night with Tiki and I comparing it to the Matt Dodge game, comparing it to the playoff game against the 49ers, comparing it to the 97 playoff game against the Vikings.
I understand that.
Those are the 3 games that we got comparisons on. And
playoff games are different, though. That's a different level.
Correct.
This was a regular season game.
And even the Matt Dodge game was for the division. So
Yes.
not as important as that game either.
Correct.
Just in terms of how the game was lost, not necessarily the importance of the individual game. And we'll get into the details. And guys, we could talk about a million different plays here, and really dive into it. We could talk for an hour about this game and not take one call today. That's how many things happened in this game. I got 3 pages worth of notes, but we want to make sure we get to your call. So I'm going to be a little broad off the top here, and then we are going to let you guys kind of get in and talk about what you want to talk about. Oh, wow.
Oh, boy.
Former NFL running back Doug Martin, the muscle hamster, right? That was his nickname?
Yeah.
Passes away at the age of 36.
That number
thoughts and prayers
is
out to his family.
36.
Oh, boy. That stinks. Anyway.
That's horrible.
So you look at this game, Paul, and I'll just broadly start out with this. The Giants lost this game in all 3 phases. We talk about complimentary football on the show when you win games. Well, this was uncomplimentary football. This was the opposite of that. And you had a defense give up 33 points in a quarter. Only one other time in NFL history has a team given up more than 33 points in a quarter. 2 other times they've given up exactly 33 points in a quarter.
Right.
And the only reason the team gave up 34 points is because an onside kick at the end of the game was returned for a touchdown. So so that's like a fake 34 points.
Yes.
So you have that. You have what is the simplest play for a special teams unit, an extra point. You missed 2 of them. You have an offense who, I go back to the Super Bowl with the Falcons against the Patriots. If the Falcons would have just kneeled the ball out on 9 consecutive plays, they would have won the game.
Right.
If the Giants would have just kneeled the ball on 6 straight, their last 6 offensive plays, instead of throwing an interception, they would have probably won the game. The Broncos would have had to recover an onside kick if they wanted to win that ball game. But instead, you throw an interception, you give them a short field, and then that changes the entire tenor of the basketball game.
No doubt about it.
Throw in time management stuff if you want. throw in 2-point conversion decisions if you want. Wherever you want to point here, guys, and you want to blame somebody, we're going to let you do it because no one escapes unscathed.
No.
When you have this type of historic collapse at the end of a game. So I'm going to open up the phones. I'm going to give you a chance to talk about it. We'll dig into a lot of other stuff as we go here, Paul. But I thought, broadly speaking, that's where I wanted to start here because I really do think it's unfair to point at one play, one person, or one thing when you have a collapse of this caliber in a fourth quarter of a game where you led by 18 points with 5 minutes to play.
Oh, there's no doubt, John. You see, we always point to the most obvious play at the end of the game and say, well, that made the difference. So I applaud your decision to go broad scope here.
And we will talk about that play too. Don't worry.
There are so many things, woulda, coulda, all that stuff, right? But the one thing I will say about this, and I'm only going to give this to you folks, not that it is a silver lining. It's not a silver lining.
Yeah, I don't think they want to hear silver linings.
No, it's not a silver lining. But I will say one thing about this game, that it did show me something that we did not know before. And that is, we saw Jackson Dart come back from a serious adversity, and his interception, terrible throw, ill-advised in every way, bad throw.
And he said so after the game.
And he took it.
Mm-hmm. He stood up and took it. Knows that was a key momentum point in the game, a fulcrum, if you would, for the final push for the Broncos. Came back from that and did the necessary things he had to do to orchestrate a drive that would put them ahead in the final minute. Now, I will point out he did just complete one pass on that drive.
Understood.
That was a really nice throw on a 4th and 19. But it was only
Phil Simms to Bobby Johnson all over again.
Now, it's funny, when I went back and looked at it, Paul, if they don't get the roughing the passer penalty on that play, I think they call Robinson short on replay review.
I didn't think so. I thought he was there.
I think he's short of the 40. Anyway, either way, it doesn't matter.
Having said that,
yes.
Everybody is also subjected to the circumstances surrounding their situation. And in that drive, Dart did what he had to do.
Now, he also had 2 passes that could have easily been intercepted.
There was one that the two
safeties,
Hufanga and the other safety,
the 2 safeties
crashed into each other.
Yes.
That's true. Again, I'm not disputing that.
Correct. No, you're right, though.
But the kid's moxie, we had not seen him in that situation before. And he did what he had to do, given the circumstances, to get them in.
Paul, the offense scored 30 points against what we call the best defense in football before the game.
And I want to add one other item on that drive. The pass interference call. How many times have we seen an underthrown long ball, a 50-50 if you would, where we talk about this a lot, where the defensive back, because he's trailing the receiver, has a better shot to get the underthrown ball. They collide, and it winds up being a pass interference call. Or, for that matter, with the Giants, they never get that call.
Well, Bo Collins did a good job of attacking the ball. He did. Absolutely.
It was a great job.
Yes.
Bo Collins, I applaud him immensely because I know why the Broncos were ticked off. But on that particular play, it will get called defensive pass interference 8 out of 10 times if the receiver makes an effort to show that he was contacted.
I didn't think it was egregious contact, but again, the guy did not. He eventually got his head turned around the corner, but it was not. It was not early enough.
It was not.
And you're right, Paul. You were going to get a defensive pass interference.
That's a veteran move by Bo Collins.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to attack the football.
So I just want to throw that out there. The drive and the move by Collins, which resulted in something that a crafty veteran would do, and then, of course, Dart reaches in to get the go-ahead score. Again, it's not a silver lining, folks. I'm not painting it as that.
No.
But it was a situation where I'm really glad to see Dart effectively get them downfield, and Collins effectively draw a veteran's penalty.
Yeah, Dart.
That was good.
Dart continues to give you reasons to be hopeful for the future.
He does.
Correct. Agreed. Now let's focus in on that last series. Now again, I have notes on all 5 of the Broncos scores in that final quarter because there were mess ups and mistakes and botched plays on a lot of them. And we could talk about a lot of those plays, but let's just focus in on that one for now, Paul. Drew Phillips had, after I thought a very good first half, had a very rough second half of this game. Kayvon Thibodeau, I thought, had a very rough fourth quarter in this game. Played 2 Bo Nix runs particularly poorly. Got called for an offsides on a 3rd and 5. And so I think the edge players in general did not. Burns had a couple plays, but the other guys, Dimukeji had a play where he got caught inside on a run. Carter, some pursuit on some plays is not what you want to see. But, like, on that final play, the one thing I'll fight back on here is that Giant fans are like, oh, Bowen played that prevent defense again. No, he didn't.
No, he did not.
That is not prevent defense. Now, if you want to argue, you should rush 4 instead of 3 there.
That's different.
Fine. We can have that argument.
That's different.
I will also tell you the Broncos used 7 men to protect on that play. So I'm not sure that one added rusher would have made much of a difference. And it's not like Nix held the ball for 8 seconds back there.
No.
He held it a little bit. It was about a little over 3 seconds on average time to throw, I think 3.5. But they max protected. They had 2 chippers. I'm not sure if it's going to make the difference. Why is Dexter Lawrence not in the game? I don't know the answer to that. Why is Abdul Carter not in the game? He looked gassed on the last possession, in fairness. I don't have the answer to that question.
Yeah.
You want to call and yell about that? I'm not going to tell you why. I'm sure the coaches have a good reason. I don't know what it is. So I can't give you an answer there. But that was not prevent defense in the secondary. You're playing man-to-man defense. And guys, I went through this with Tiki Barber last night, and we talked about it again this morning. It's man-to-man defense with 2 safeties in the middle of the field. The Giants have 7 guys in coverage. 8 if you count Bobby Okereke. He was kind of waiting for the running back to come out off the chip. The Broncos send 3 players into a route. If you can't cover 3 receivers with 7 guys, that ain't a coaching problem. That's a player problem. And I don't know why, but Drew Phillips is casually jogging next to Marvin Mims running down the seam when he has man-to-man responsibilities and just doesn't close the distance on the play. I don't have a reason why.
No.
Tyler Nubin's in the robber position on that play. He's watching Sutton coming across the field on a little post or in-cut, whatever you want to call it. I guess he could have been there too. But that is man-to-man defense with 2 robber safeties. That is not prevent defense. And for some reason, they did not execute the coverage and play that the way they should have. It didn't look like Mims was expecting the ball. Frankly, he ran a little bit of a lazy route too.
Yeah.
And the ball just got there. Give Nix credit. He made a nice throw. But that was not prevent defense. And you have to cover better than that in that situation. You just have to. I don't know what else to say about the play.
And then the Cortland Sutton throw that made it an easy field goal.
It was that look. Could Banks have played a little bit better coverage? Sure. That was a really nice throw and catch by Nix.
It was a great throw and a great catch. And Bo Nix said after the game, they just drew that play up the day before, had not even thrown it or run it in practice.
Is that true? I didn't see that.
Yes.
Wow.
They saw a look that they were hoping to get in that spot. Apparently, the play was stolen from 2 other last-second situations on tape with other teams. They had seen it, and they said, if we get in this situation, let's see about pulling this out.
And by the way, that was also not prevent defense. That was man-to-man with a single high safety.
And Banks was there.
Correct.
He just didn't make the play.
Again.
He didn't finish it. Again.
Which is
didn't finish it.
a theme.
I know. So anyway, they get out there, and Nick says to Cortland Sutton, let's use that play. And so they get the look that they thought they were going to get, and I don't know what they were specifically looking for. What was the key that they were looking for? But they get it.
Well, it was man-to-man defense, right?
I guess that's it.
Yeah, because they send Sutton in motion to try and that gives you the coverage tell,
They
right?
wanted to get him away from the outside boundary, too.
And Banks follows. Once you see Banks follow him across the field, you know it's man-to-man.
You know. And so he runs the route. obviously runs it well. Nix makes a perfect throw. Sutton makes a nice catch, even though Banks is in the vicinity. And how about this? He gets out of bounds.
Yeah.
He was close.
No, he didn't. They spiked it. They ran up and they spiked it.
I'm sorry.
No, they ran. It's okay.
You're right.
But they had time because they had 18 seconds on the play.
Yes, and they spiked with 2 seconds
That's
left.
correct, yes.
Correct.
Paul didn't get a lot of sleep, folks. Give him some grace.
No, I didn't get a lot of sleep. Believe me. It was, did not sleep on the plane. There's no way I was sleeping on that plane.
Did you watch a movie?
To Seth Meyers' credit, one of the SNL alums, he did a 1-hour stand-up.
Oh, you watched those Seth Meyers stand-up, huh?
And I saw that on the plane coming back, and it was the only thing that prevented me from jumping out the window. It was well done. Seth Meyers did a really good job. It was a dad's 1 hour stand-up.
Okay, good.
All family stuff, dad stuff.
Nice.
It was good. I didn't laugh, but he prevented me from crying.
Okay, well, that's a win.
It's a win.
That's a win.
Yes. So anyway, so in reference to that play, I mean, and that's the, like, Cortland Sutton's telling the Denver media after the game, oh, we never even ran that play in practice. We never even threw it. We never ran it. And they pull it out here, and it works.
And again, it just takes away from other things of the game. You talked about Dart. They scored 30 points against the Broncos defense. That was really good. The tight ends were terrific in this game. The offensive line played out of this world. They were great. I didn't relook at the pressure numbers this morning, but as of last night, I believe between Thomas and Illuminor, they allowed just one pressure in this game, which is just, against that pass rush, is really, really impressive. Like I said, there's a million things we could talk about here, folks. There really is. But let's open up the phones. 201-939-4513. 201-939-4513. Don't forget, guys, go check out the Giants Huddle podcast. You can find it on the Giants app, giants.com/podcast, also on the Giants YouTube channel. We do great interviews with Giants players, Giants coaches, analysts around the NFL. They interviewed Brian Hoyer last week, which is a lot on Jackson Dart, actually. So if you guys haven't watched it, you can still go back and watch it. You still get something out of that. The last 10 minutes is some matchup stuff against the Broncos. You can skip that. But the first 15 minutes or so was all about Dart and his development. So I think it's worth it for you if you want to go check that out. All right, let us go to the phones at 201-939-4513. Let's lead us off with Rich in Florida. Rich, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hi, John and Godfather and Paulie Dots. I'm really glad you didn't jump out of the plane because we need you for entertainment to go 1v1 with guys like Charlie and Wilson so we can continue to be entertained by you guys with the mental bantering. So
I'm glad you find us entertaining. That's important. That's part of the component of what it is that we do. But there is nothing enjoyable about going at it with Charlie and with Wilson when they just want to be flying off a cliff. I'm just going to let you know.
And by the way, they aren't going to be the only two looking to fly off a cliff today.
No, I'm sure.
And by the way, and understandably so.
Oh, yeah, I understand. Well,
Charlie and Wilson, give us a break, okay? Let the other people vent today. Why did you call us like in 5 weeks, okay?
How about Wednesday, Madeline and Sean on? How about you guys lock in there?
Do it. Charlie, Wilson, you really love us? Do it. Do that.
Rich, go ahead. I'm sorry, Rich. Go ahead.
No, very briefly on the game. John and Paulie, your analysis on last drive by Denver is completely 100% corrective. I just got through watching a little bit of Believe with Papa and Carl, and exactly right. They were in man-to-man with the two robbers. The problem is I haven't looked at the tape yet, but Drew Phillips just jogging along, and that's how they got that ball to Mims.
Rich, I think Drew Phillips, by the way, real quick. Rich, real fast. I think Drew Phillips and, frankly, a lot of the other members of that defense, and this is not an excuse, it's just a fact. When I rewatched it this morning, it confirmed, and Tiki thought this last night too, that defense looked absolutely gas in that fourth.
They were.
Exactly.
They had nothing left.
I had that conversation with Howard Cross right after the game on the MSG postgame. They had mini oxygen tanks on the bench.
Yep.
Okay. And what the players were told is that anytime you feel like you're huffing and puffing and you need to go get some, go take a few breaths. It'll give you a little bit of a re-energized feeling, and you should be able to get through. But here's what I had been told last week by someone who had coached out in Denver for several years. They said to me, here's what you have to watch for. If during the course of the game, you don't monitor yourself like that and you don't take those oxygen shots to keep yourself going, you will wind up reaching a point of no return.
It's cumulative.
Right.
Yes.
I gotcha. Interesting.
Yes, you will reach a point of no return to where now you can't get it back. There's no second wind, John. That's
Right.
it. You're gone. You've lost it.
Got it.
And you will definitely feel it in the fourth quarter.
Right.
And I saw some of that.
And again,
before.
not an excuse.
It's not an excuse. You still got to play.
Correct.
Two quick things, guys. The thing, I go back to 61. So all those other heartbreaking losses that you discuss, I've been through every one of those. And the thing that's so frustrating, we have our conference call. 3 guys all over the world. One guy was actually on a cruise ship, my friend in Fort Myers yesterday. So, and we're doing play-by-play.
Did he feed himself to the sharks?
Yeah, he's on a Viking cruise ship. Anyway, when we were up, 18 or 19 points, he said, can we hold this lead? Because we've been through so many of these heartbreaks, and that's what's so frustrating. The real reason I called is, does anybody know, number one, did Malik have the surgery, and B, was the surgery successful?
Based, and Rich, appreciate the call. The Giants have not announced that yet, as far as I know, but I believe there were reports last week that the answer to both those questions were yes.
I
think
not
Adam
heard anything official.
I think Schefter had it, but I have not heard anything official.
Okay. Yeah. I will tell you this, Rich. Interesting thing about, leads getting away. And you can apply this to any team that has lost a lead in the fourth quarter or late in the stretch. I do college basketball games as part of my repertoire. And what you see a lot of times, and it even happens in the NBA, John's more of an NBA aficionado. You see teams, what they say is take the air out of the ball.
Yeah.
Follow me on this one, John.
I'm following.
And when teams do that too early, perhaps, and again, it's all a judgment call. It's very subjective. But in retrospect, many times a team that was on the losing side looks back and regrets the timing of when they took the air out of the ball. And they'll say to themselves, you know what? So much would have changed had we waited a little bit longer. But in the moment, there is that impetus to take the air out of the ball. And it happens in football as well as in basketball. Although I think in college hoops, it's even more prevalent, to be frank with you. And I think that's what your friend was talking about. Giants are up, by double digits and fourth quarter, and he's worried about, okay, at what point, do they maybe start taking the air out of the ball? And then that's usually the danger zone if you do it too early, where the other team might, scap up that momentum. And now all of a sudden you can't get it back.
Now again, I am not reporting this. I am not confirming it. I'm simply reading Adam Schefter's report off of ESPN. This was on October 4th, and I'll just read the report. Again, I'm not confirming it. I'm just giving you the information that Adam Schefter reported. Neighbors is expected to undergo surgery this week for a torn ACL and a torn meniscus, while also allowing a partially torn labrum and turf toe to heal per sources. Doctors weighed whether Neighbors would also need surgery on his labrum, but ultimately decided against it. That's what Adam Schefter had on October 4th of this year. So that's what you got on that. And, usually these surgeries are all successful. They have the best doctors over at HSS, and they do a great job on this stuff. So I would not be concerned as to whether or not it was successful. I'm sure that it was. All right, let's go to Lucas in New Jersey. He's up next. Lucas, what's up?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hi.
Thanks for taking my call again.
Yep.
Just to put my thoughts in, I thought Wandale was right at the cusp, where it was it was so hard to really know if he was. I couldn't really tell.
It was close.
Honestly, I'm glad
it was
we got
very
the penalty.
close.
It was so close. Could have been half a football shot. I don't know.
And you know what? It would have been great. Paul would have loved to see the virtual measurement in such a important situation.
Oh, man.
Paul loves the virtual measurement, as you might guess.
They did one of those earlier on one. That was a half
They
a
did it for the
football
World Cup.
in.
It was so good. They could tell offsides and stuff through their camera systems.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did want to say that dive by Dart at the goal line was sensational.
No,
right?
great effort.
He was just
Yes. And by the way,
and
I was on the goal line. It was clear right from the get-go. How did it look on television?
On the replay, it was very clear
It
that he
looked
scored.
clear. I believe from his reaction, I go on the players' reaction.
Yeah. He knew.
And the players, they always know. But
The line judge comes running in, and he didn't give a signal. I don't know why. And Dave's came off the bench. He was like, "Oh, look at that! Got to look at that."
Honestly, in retrospect, you wish he didn't get in, and they would have ended up playing to waste more time.
I know.
That it wouldn't milk the clock.
I know. Unbelievable.
What else you got, Lucas?
We had fewer dumb penalties, and it felt like the vibe of the game when there was a penalty was on the other team. That was really refreshing.
Lucas, you're right, but I will add this. You cannot have 3 delay of game penalties, 2 on third downs, which turn to 3rd and 12s into 3rd and 17s.
Right.
You also cannot have an offsides on a 3rd and 5 inside the red zone, which gives the other team a first down. So, and you can have the Drew Phillips pass interference on the 4th and 3 slant that set up another Broncos score. So, yes, the big pass interference penalties helped the Giants in this game, but those were some critical penalties that the Giants did commit that did not help their cause.
Remember, these were 2 of the top 4 most penalized teams in the league in terms of drawing flags. Remember that. So you had to know there was going to be a bunch of them on both teams.
100%. So my question is, we gave up the big lead. The question isn't about how we can finish better. It's basically, why are we not finishing? Is it from I'm a layman, so from what I saw, once we had the really big lead, it's not like we were playing prevent defense or whatever, but like we just seemed to kind of play different. And I know you have to, right? But like putting the kicker back in there after the point after, I know I'm getting a little bit all over the place, but like what do you think we can do to finish better? And do we have a kicking issue? Should the punter kick it, or do we need to find someone else? And I guess I'll take it off air.
No, thank you, Lucas. Look, you have Younghoe Koo on the practice squad. That's an option. Gano's window's opening up. Is it this week, Paul? It is, correct?
Yeah.
So you can see if he's ready to go with that groin injury. So that's what you got to look at kicker. I'm not making these decisions, but you've had 3 missed extra points in 2 games.
And by the way,
it's hard to run him back out there again.
Another player who stood up and took it.
He did. And look, Jude stood up and he absolutely took it. No question about it.
He said, for those of you who may not have heard it, he said, I'm a pro. I got to make the kick. No matter what happens, it's my job to make it, and I need to do it. And he just missed him. And
I know Dable did say the operation on the first one wasn't great. I looked at it. The ball did get down in time for him to kick the ball.
Yeah.
And Jude made that point.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't really think that the defense played that much different, to be honest with you. When I rewatched the tape this morning, I didn't think so. Look, they allowed some big plays. So, look, you had a deep pass to Cortland Sutton for 16 yards, which is a really nice throw. You had a long run for 32 yards by J.K. Dobbins on that first Broncos scoring drive. Abdul Carter got caught inside a little bit on that pitch play. You had just the kind of freaky deflection on the touchdown play, which was just a bad luck deal. Giants got one of those themselves, too.
Yes.
So all's fair.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Then on the next drive, look, it wasn't like that was a drive that was full of big plays. That was a kind of slow drive that took 5 minutes to go 74 yards, where the Broncos didn't get a ton of chunk plays on that drive to give them 16 points. You had a 21-yard Bo Nix scramble on that drive, but other than that, I don't think you had another play that went for more than 10 yards. So that was kind of just a slow, methodical drive.
The one that made it 26-16?
Yes.
Didn't they got the 12-yarder on the 2nd and 10 from the 19?
2nd and 10 at the 19. Yes, that was a screen pass. You're right. There. So, yes, you had the 21-yard run by Nix, and then you're right. The next play, or the 2 plays later, was the screen play to Beatty, where, again, I think maybe a little bit of undiscipline there. On the Nix scramble, Dimukeji got caught inside a little bit on that play. On the screen, a couple giant pass rushers got caught upfield that allowed that play. But again, in that situation, Paul, you're up 18 points.
Yep. And
you make a team use 5 minutes of clock to score a touchdown. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but that's what you want to do. You want to make the team use time to score a touchdown there. The problem is that the next play, the next series.
Well, you throw the pick on 3rd down.
And if you just if you just take the sack there or run the ball on 3rd down.
Yes.
The Broncos are getting the ball back with about 4 minutes and 40 seconds to go.
Well, it would be
having
less.
to go the length of the field.
It would be less because if you run the play on third.
Well, I'm assuming the
then
Broncos are
fourth.
calling timeout. Broncos,
Okay.
I'm assuming you use their third timeout there.
Okay, if
So
they
you
use it there,
So you punt the ball.
give them another 10 seconds.
All right, fine. 4:40, 4:35,
Okay.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
You got to go the length of the field in 4:35 with no timeouts, down 2 scores.
Right.
The chance of you winning the game there is nil.
I'm on board with you 100%.
It's very small chance of you winning that game,
And
which
that's
is why
why
that pick was so brutal. And then, by the way, after the pick, you allow them to score in 3 plays. You get them into a 3rd and 5. Then Thibodeau commits that offsides penalty, and that gives them a first down on that drive. Then the next time down, you have then you start allowing the chunk plays, right? Then you have the Mims play for then the next Broncos drive. You have the Mims play for 31. Again, beats Drew Phillips down the right sideline. He kind of throws behind them a little bit. He comes back and gets the ball.
Yep.
Then you have the little Ingram out route, where again, Drew Phillips decides to try to play a two-hand touch and not push the guy out of bounds.
Well, you got 20 yards on that play.
Got 20 yards, which should have been like a 8-yard gain, something like that. And then I don't know what Kayvon Thibodeau's doing on that zone read option play where he has Bo Nix dead to right and Nix keeps the ball and runs 21 yards for the touchdown. It wasn't the 5-minute scoring drive that was the problem. It wasn't even the short, quick drive after that. Up 26-23, you let the Broncos go 68 yards in 51 seconds. 68 yards in 51 seconds on 6 plays for a touchdown. That was the backbreaker.
Well, the 3rd and 11 to Mims.
That was the deep pass down the right sideline for 31 yards.
Yeah,
Yep,
that
absolutely.
of those plays, even the Ingram and the Knicks plays that capped the drive, don't kill me as much as the 3rd down to Mims.
And Paul, I'll even go back to the longer drive. You had them in a 1st and 20. A 1st and 20, up 26-8 after a holding penalty by Garrett Bowles.
Yeah.
It's 1st and 20 on Denver's 39-yard line. All right? And you allow them to get 8 yards. Then you're in a 3rd and 12. And then the 4th and 3, you commit the defensive pass interference penalty.
Yes.
Then on the next drive, you have him on the 3rd and 5, and Kayvon Thibodeau commits the offsides penalty. And then to your point, they have him in the 3rd and 11. You allow him to convert there. So many opportunities for the defense to get off the field and make a play, which is, and a lot of those mistakes we're talking about, Paul, guys were in a position to make a play. They just did not execute and make the plays when they had to get off the field.
Yeah, it was a complete breakdown. And I said this to you on the FAN postgame. I don't want to use that as an excuse at all, but they weren't sharp. They looked like they
No, they were not playing the way they did in the first half of that game.
No.
To me, the plays did not look different. The execution of the plays looked different.
Physically.
That's what it looked like to me watching the tape.
It looked like it was more physical stuff than mental stuff at that point.
I completely agree with you.
Which is why I tend to give credence to them being gassed.
It could
But
be.
you got to play 4 quarters.
You have to finish the game. And again, you make one play there, and again, I will say this, going offsides on a 3rd and 5.
Well, yes, I agree with that.
That's mental.
Now, also, I forget which player it was. Was it Nacho or was it Dexter after the game? Said, you know what? Even if guys were, you got to have replacements, guys you can rotate in,
right,
who are going to be capable of then doing the job. You can't use the excuse that some guys are gassed. Well, then get them out of there, put somebody else in there, and make sure they're not gassed and that they can make the play.
All right, let's go to Andrew in North Carolina. He's up next. Andrew, what's happening, man?
Hey, how are you guys doing? You guys always do great.
Thank you.
Please tell me I'm dreaming of a nightmare with this kicking situation. That's the first and foremost thing. What happened with the kicker? This is beyond ridiculous. I've never seen a coaching regime handle us not having a kicker, missing extra points. This feels like insanity, guys. What happened there again?
Matt Katomny did not get the job done on 2 extra points.
He said he thought he hit the second one well, and he thought he had made it, and then looked up and said, "Oh, I see it was wide right." He's like, "I hit it good. I thought it was good."
The Giants decided they preferred him over Younghoe Koo. That's who they elevated Matt Katomny instead, and he did not get the job done.
By the way, they had 2 weeks of competitions, and Matt Katomny won both weeks, and they decided to put him on the 53.
Yeah, correct.
So this was not a split-second decision.
Mm-hmm.
They let both of these guys, kick and kick and kick and kick, and McAtominay won. I mean, they vetted this out. It didn't work
I
out.
don't think I have an issue with that. I believe I heard you guys mention it earlier this season. It's the fact that we once again trusted Graham Gano to start this season. I don't know if you put that on the GM and the coach or as a collective, but we decided to go through this same thing again with Graham Gano, and he can't play, so now we're looking for kickers, and they just don't get the job done, and it costs us another game. My second concern with the game, I believe it was fourth quarter, 3 minutes left. We ran 2 straight hard-run plays on the Jackson interception drive, actually. Why are we throwing the football? I believe they had 1 timeout. Why are we not running the ball and kicking it deep into their territory so that they have to go the length of the field down 11 with no timeouts? And if you do want to call a pass play, why not take it back to my Pee-wee football days? Call a quarterback rollout, and if it's not there, keep the clock ticking with a sack. I don't think Jackson should have had responsibility to process and go through a drop-back pass play. There was no need to – I don't even think there was a need to get a first down. Just kill the clock, make them use another timeout, and make them go the length of the field down 11 with 3 minutes left to play. And my final thing was I just wanted to know you guys' thoughts on the future. I know the coaches don't matter. You can't get too much into that. But John Mara said he's tired of seeing teams going up and down the field. This Cowboys debacle and this yesterday is disastrous. The only thing saving Dayball right now, and Shane maybe, is not having to change systems for Jackson Dart. Other than that, we borrowed Saquon. We got Indiana Jones in Indianapolis. We look like a joke. And this regime is hanging on to Jackson Dart right now. This is all we got. The draft picks aren't hitting. Drew Phillips looks great sometimes. Malik Neighbors was a no-brainer, even though I heard a lot of people say they had him over Marvin Harrison. So I don't really give him a lot of credit for that one. But
All right, Andrew. Appreciate the call, man. Look, dude. I get it.
We just talked about that one series you referred to a little while ago. The clock is your best friend in that situation. And I don't think, what's the best way to say this? I don't think you're wrong to question there about trying to just, all right, run, punt, put them in worse field position. John and I mentioned, so maybe you take another 10 seconds off, but you're also tilting the field, which is a very, very big deal because you'd like to believe that if you tilt the field, it will cost them quite a bit of seconds, if not a minute or two, to even get back to where you just gave the ball up on the interception. So that, to me, is, that's when I started to get really, really sick to my stomach, to be honest.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. Tiki felt very strongly about that in the postgame last night, too. That was his kind of big thing. Let's go to Scott in New Jersey. He's up next. Scotty Doo, what's up?
Good afternoon, guys. How you doing?
We're great. What's going on, man?
Okay, so this loss yesterday feels worse than the San Francisco loss in the playoffs to Terrell Owens and Jeff Garcia. I mean, that's totally a blown game, and that goes on the coaching. There's 2 points I want to make. First of all, I want to cut back to the first half of the game. They just sacked Bo Nix on second down. They're facing a 3rd and long. They have 2 timeouts in their pocket. They're facing a 3rd and 14, I believe. I don't think they're going to put the ball in the air the way they played in the first half. Why are we not burning a timeout there? They're going to probably run the ball. We take our last timeout, maybe a bad punt, bad snap, maybe a good return. Maybe we get into some kind of range where we can try to do something before the end of the first half. That was frustrating, number one. Number two, I'm going to piggyback off the last call of this call. Okay, they make it a 10-point game with 5:13 left. Okay, run the ball twice. 3rd down, we decide to throw the ball. Why in God's earth are we throwing the ball on 3rd down? We got to make them burn their third timeout. Okay. We punt the ball, tilt the field, like you said, Paul, tilt the field back in our favor. Okay. Now they have to really score before the 2-minute timeout because they have no timeouts left. Okay. None. So if they score before that, they get the 2-minute warning, and then the clock is in our favor. So even if we go 3 and out again, they're going to get the ball with minimal time left to do anything.
No, and Caller, honestly, I'm not even sure if depending on how quickly they score there, they might just try an onside kick. They might not even try to kick it off in that spot.
Very possible.
That was my second point, John. If it took them to like 2 minutes, they have to go onside kick.
Correct.
The odds are in our favor to recover that and end the game. You have to play situational football. This is another blown loss on coaching. I'm sorry, the coaching.
Now, and by the way, I will just say I think their decision at the end of the first half is situational football the way you're talking about it too, right? Even if you looked at the Giants' drive before they punted it away from to Denver, when they punted it away with 1:11 to go in the first half, they really weren't trying to score on that drive. So I think they were happy because of the 13-0 lead, and you don't want to, again, make a big mistake at the end of the half to turn it over and give the Broncos an easy chance to score. So I almost wish they would have taken that stance as you got into the latter part of the game. You know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying, but I mean, you have a very good return, a very short-handed returner back there on Olszewski. You know, just make him punt the ball.
No, that's fair. I got you. That's fair. I got you.
It's not a bad point. I don't think it's nearly as debatable, though, as some of the other things that we've brought up.
Yeah.
Well, I said, with the third down play, I think Sable's got to say to Saxon Dart, in no circumstances do you throw this football. Okay, we have to make them burn their last time out.
Well, yeah, but I think you say to them, you only throw this if it's like a guaranteed catch. Like, because you don't want the clock to get stopped, and you cannot, under any circumstance, turn the ball over.
And they did the same thing again on the next possession. Another 3rd down and 8, they try a deep shot down the middle to Robinson. What are we doing here?
Whoa.
That's different.
Well, at that point, the clock's not your friend. Because even if you run it there, the Broncos are still getting the ball back with over 2 minutes to play.
Right.
So at that point,
a little different.
I understand on that one a lot more trying to go for the first down. Given the fact the Broncos scored so quickly after the turnover, I will give you the exact time left on the clock on that 3rd down. On the 3rd and 8 on the overthrow to Robinson, there was still 2:56 to play there. So the Broncos are getting the ball back probably before the 2-minute warning, and they'll have a chance with the 2-minute warning to drive the ball, I don't know what, you're looking at 65 yards in just over 2 minutes, only down 3. I don't mind going for the first down there and trying to get the kill shot. I don't mind that.
And by the way, Lutz hit a 63-yarder in practice.
Remember, you're in the altitude of Denver. He probably could have made one from 65 or 66.
So, yeah, I'm with John on that one. That's a little different.
Shot, make it a higher percentage pass play. I didn't like the call at all.
He was. Oh, you know what though? Remember, that's not necessarily the only option on the play. That's the pass that Dart decided to throw. There were other guys running shorter routes on that play. And Robinson was open.
He was.
And that's the other thing about Dart at the end of this game, too. He missed about 3 deep shots where he could have completed them.
I got to be honest.
The one to Robinson, the one to Hyatt, and then the one that he underthrew to Bo Collins that could have been picked.
Which they turned into the penalty.
He underthrew that, too.
Yes, he did.
No,
yes,
I mean the one in the middle of the field where the 2 safeties ran into each other.
Oh, yes.
That was also underthrown.
Yes, it was.
So 4 that were underthrown then.
The one to Hyatt, it was right in front of me, and he had a yard and a half separation on the guy.
Right.
That's exactly what you want Hyatt to do.
Thanks for the call.
And he missed him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he overthrew those 2, and then he underthrew the other 2.
Again, I'm not going to take away some of the promise of what Dart did do and did show us, but
there were still rookie moments.
You know, there were, and some passes that were not exactly where they needed to be.
No, and some short ones in the first half of that game where you could tell. I thought he played a little sped up early in this game. He was a little concerned about the Broncos' pass rush, and he missed a couple of the short throws. And I get it. 30 sacks, right? I get it.
And by the way, they were coming after him hard. They were not taking it easy. I think they had a poster of Jackson Dart on their post office wall. I mean, they were really foaming at the mouth to get after him. And I thought, considering those circumstances, you know, Dart kind of weathered the storm pretty darn well. I mean, he got him a lead. A pretty big lead.
Look, the bottom line here, they scored over 30 points against one of the best defenses in the league. So
I know
that. I mean, you can't. I can pick apart a bunch of individual plays where I thought Dart could have done things that were better, but when you walk away and you score 30 points against the Broncos defense, I can't. How am I supposed to be critical walking away from that game?
Right.
I can't. Let's go to Corey in Arizona. He's up next. Hey, Corey.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
We're good, man. What do you got?
Just wanted to say we need to extend Wan'Dale Robinson before the trade deadline, because if we don't, it'll be a lot more expensive by the end of the season. I think it's pretty funny how they had zero problem handing their little golden child, Darius Slayton, the number 2 receiver job and a contract extension, but won't extend Wan'Dale.
I mean, Corey, in fairness, Wan'Dale has been in and out and hasn't exactly been nearly as consistent as Slayton was in his time here.
He's also had some injuries.
Yeah, and he's also a slot-only guy, too.
Mm-hmm. Well, primarily, yeah. And
So,
by the way,
yeah,
I don't want to be defensive with you, but how do any of us know if they've even had a conversation with him?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. And Corey, by the way, you talk about how he's going to be that much more expensive. I'm not sure that he's ever going to be a big money wide receiver re-signing type of deal. I'm just not. Remember, and by the way, he did have
like a yeah.
I mean, and he also had a
premier slot receivers in the league.
I mean, I don't think he's shown that. I mean, maybe he'll be that this year. He hasn't shown that so far in his career. And I love Wan'Dale. He's a good player. I hope he's here a long time. But if you just look at the production,
with the revolving door of quarterbacks, and the only receiver in the NFC, slot receiver in the NFC that had more last year was JSN, Jackson Smith-Njigba.
In terms of, if you want to talk, but we could talk about receiving yards too, in terms of what that looks like instead of receptions.
Yeah,
but Corey, remember at the end of this game, he also dropped the ball on a 2-point conversion near the goal line, and he's very fortunate that the ball that went right off his hands bounced to Theo Johnson for a 41-yard touchdown. Otherwise, that's a critical drop at the end of this game that hit him right in the hands.
I mean, look, if you want to tell me that a player is going to get elite money at his position, last year he averaged less than 10 yards a catch. And that's not to belittle him in any way.
I mean, it was well under.
But it was, yes. And that's...
And again, both of us love Wan'Dale. He's a good player. We hope he's here for a long time.
And he's, by the way, a great teamemate.
Correct.
But you're not getting elite money unless your production is elite.
Now,
and it's not.
Now, if you want to make the remember, he is a free agent after the year, so you'd rather make decisions on these guys sooner rather than later. I get where you're coming from on that, but I wouldn't worry about them like, oh, man, now they got to pay him $20 million a year. I don't think that's what we're going to end up seeing there, to be honest with you. I could be wrong, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't think he's getting elite receiver money, but I do think he is one of the best slot receivers in the league.
No, he's a good player. You got anything else for us, Corey?
Yes. If we can get Jalen Waddle for a couple 2s, a 3, and a 5, what is one reason we shouldn't pull the trigger on that deal?
Well, I appreciate the call, Corey. We can't talk about guys that are under contract with other teams. I can just say Jalen Waddle's a really good player. He already got his contract extension. So I'm not sure why the Dolphins would want to do that, to be honest with you.
Their coach has already said that Waddle is not on the trade block.
And I since you already paid him and the team that's getting him does not have to pay the signing bonus, to me that's remember when they traded for Brian Burns, they had to pay him afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
That's why that only cost a 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're trading for a player that's already been paid and he's under contract for 3 more years, that price is going to be higher. Now, I know you mentioned 2 2s and maybe a couple mid-round picks. Sure. You're sitting here 2 and 5. You want to trade draft picks and assets for players?
I asked the question last week, John, if the Giants were going to make a move for a receiver, wouldn't it be more prudent to wait for this game to be played out and find out what your record is then? Because 3 and 4 is a lot different than 2 and 5.
We cannot talk about the Giants acquiring a player from another team. They're on their contract with another player. I'm a team employee. The Giants could literally get fined for tampering, so I'm not going to talk about that. I can't. But I think you have to always look at the other team, what their goals are, what the player's contract situation is, what you have to pay them, and then figure out what the cost would be. And I think that's how I would kind of look at it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I appreciate your creativity of trying to address a need for the team. I understand somebody wanting to discuss that, but there are so many factors involved in making a pairing work. I just think that, with that loss yesterday, if I were a GM of Team X, I would be less inclined to make a move of that nature.
201-939-4513. Well, excuse me, we started a little late, Johnny Max. We'll go to around 35 today, all right? Let's go to Len in Columbia, Maryland. Len, what's going on, man?
Oh, wow. I tell you.
That was a bad one, Len.
Another day after a loss, and I think that's what bothers me more than anything. I just, the last 2 years at this time, we were 2-6. We could be 2-6 next Sunday.
And by the way, asking to sweep the Eagles with the second game in Philly is a... And look, I don't think Philly was that impressive against Minnesota yesterday, but big picture, sweeping the Eagles with the second game in Philly in 3 weeks span, it's a tough ask.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. And then what that means, I didn't want to give the game to the Eagles.
No, I don't want to do that either.
Your description there is correct, and I guess what I want to say about that is we're 2-6 again. I don't care about the competition. What teams are better than others? We're likely going to be 2-6 again.
No, and Len, by the way, I will say this about the competition. We always joke, and this is Lance's big thing, and he is largely correct about it. Don't tell him I said that.
Yeah, I know.
That, you look at the schedule in the spring, and, the teams don't matter as much as what the teams look like when the Giants play them. And I think now that we look at it, look, the Cowboys are fine, but they can't stop anyone. The Commanders have struggled this year. You played the Chiefs well before they were playing their best football. You play the Chargers without Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, which certainly hampered their ability to play.
Right.
And no Khalil Mack, by the way, on defense. You end up playing the Eagles without Jalen Carter and without Quinion Mitchell. And then you end up, and I'm missing one team. So a lot of the opponents we thought were going to be super duper tough, you ended up not getting those teams necessarily at full strength too.
Well, and the team that we were all hoping they'd play early, New Orleans, wound up
beating them.
Being a charity case.
Correct. Exactly right.
So, the whole W and L thing before the year is just foolishness. Len, you know what I will say? Let me make this one quick point.
You'll have plenty of time, man. Don't worry. You'll have plenty of time.
Okay, thank you.
We have always been asked many, many, many times on this program. John and I get it all the time, no matter where we go. Oh, how many wins? What record? How would you feel if this? And everybody throws these hypotheticals at us, right? And we get 1,000 hypotheticals all the time. And what we always say is, you have to let it play out. Because not every win is the same. Not every loss is the same.
True.
You yourself, Len, you feel differently this morning than when they lost to Washington opening day, right?
True.
It's not the same.
True.
They are different. And that stuff does matter. And I don't know what the Giant record's going to be at the end of the year. Neither do you, John.
No idea.
And neither do we know how they're going to get there. But all that stuff matters. Just a great opportunity to just bring that up because people just love to look at the one-loss record and think that it's a black and white number and that's the be-all, end-all. Well, it is as far as the NFL giving you a ticket into the playoffs, but it's not a be-all, end-all when you're an organization trying to figure out where you're going.
All right, Len, go ahead.
I was going to say, to add to what you're saying, Paul, and I get this, is that last January when we found out that the coaches were coming back, the general manager was coming back, Mr. Maris was asked, what do you think? What do you need to see? And he said, I just need to feel better about the team. But yesterday was that opportunity for him to feel better about the team.
So Len, this stinks. But do you know what stinks about it? Because you're right, the record looks the same. But I actually do feel better about the team at this point this year than I have over the last 2 seasons. Now, does that matter because their record still is what it is? No. Yeah. But I think you do actually feel better about the component parts on the roster.
You do think it's a better roster, do you not?
I think it's a better roster.
Okay.
Yes,
and do you not think that some of the younger players have some upside?
It's not. It's not showing itself. I mean, we're seeing.
No, absolutely, I get it.
I mean, we can't win 2 in a. Come on, growth is 2 in a row. I mean, you gotta win 2 in a row. That's one start to me feeling really better about this team.
No,
let me talk about yesterday again.
Sure.
A couple of things, real. I suspect the facility tomorrow is going to be loaded with kickers. I mean, if Koo wasn't ready to kick this week, if he lost out to Mac, during the week in the tryout, I suspect they're not looking at Koo as the replacement. I think there's going to be a lot of visitors tomorrow. Secondly,
maybe
that
could
ball,
also be,
that pass to Mims there on the next to the last play, never should have gotten there. I mean, it never should have reached them. It looked like they were looking for somebody else to make a play. They were each saying to themselves, somebody else is going to make a play. No one wanted. I got the feeling nobody wanted to make that play.
Well, then that is man to man. It is Drew Phillips' man. It is his responsibility to make that play.
Yeah, well, when you got five guys, is that what the other four are thinking, John? Are the other four sitting there saying, "Oh, Drew's going to make that because it's man to man"?
No. I can tell you, Bo Braid is your deep safety. He's making sure no one gets behind you and makes a big play over the top. And Tyler Nubin's sitting in that Robert position, and he's got his eyes on the Broncos' number one wide receiver, Cortland Sutton, who's being covered by Deonte Banks, making an in-cut, and he's getting underneath that route. So that's what the other two guys on that side of the field are doing.
There's really no one else in position to help Phillips out there, is what he's trying to say.
I mean, Nubin could have been, but I understand him watching Sutton rather than watching Mims.
He's got another responsibility.
Correct.
They were gassed, and I understand everything you're saying. Quick 5 seconds, quick shout out to River Hill High School right here in Howard County, Maryland. Boo Braid, a graduate of that high school. I saw him play in high school. Good for him. I'm glad he's in the pros. Again, it's this opportunity. I was not the original back in January. I was the original negative thinker. I'm the guy who was the first one to say on this show we're a year away of being a year away.
You did say that,
and I still think that's where we are. But it was a really big opportunity for growth for this team, for this organization yesterday.
Len, I don't disagree.
That was a terrible loss. Hey, there's another game next week.
Yeah, let's get them.
Let's go Giants.
Let's beat the Birds.
Let's go Giants.
Thank you, Len.
Thanks for taking my call, guys.
Thank you for calling in. You're right. They had a chance to beat a good team in their building on the road, and then they had every opportunity to do it, and they failed.
And I think when we talked on the post game last night, John, that to me is what the locker room felt. They were really, really in pain.
And I talked
yesterday.
I was on with Malusis on Saturday morning on the Fan, and I said, Moose, I'm going to pump the brakes. I'm not going to talk about the standings. I'm not going to talk about the Eagles record and the Giants record. I'm going to give it a week. And I'm going to see where we are before I start talking about that stuff. And you know what? The Eagles look like they were in danger against the Vikings in the early window. The Commanders lost to Dallas. You could have been going into Philly next week with the same record as the Commanders at 3-4, right? And only a half game behind Dallas at 3-1, and 2 games behind Philly. And if you win that game in Philly, you can start having a not pie in the sky, but a real legitimate conversation about the division.
The baseball analogy would be you could have put yourself in the on-deck circle.
Yeah, you could have. You wouldn't have been at the plate. You wouldn't have been, ready to go and, controlling your own destiny and all that stuff. But you could have started to have the conversation.
Yeah.
And now...
I agree.
Now you're 3 games back at first. You're, a game back of Washington. You're a game and a half back at Dallas. And you're 1-2 in the division. The tiebreakers don't look great. You're in Philly next week now. And... doesn't look quite as good, given where they could have been after that game against the Broncos. All right, final call of the show is Tyree in Texas. Tyree, what's going on?
Hey, man, how's it going, y'all?
We're good, man. What do you got?
So I just had a. Well, first I want to say that I do believe that we are a lot better than we were, obviously, previous years.
Yeah, I agree.
This loss it hurt, but it did show. I think it should show a lot of our fan base that, we do have a great opportunity in the future. But I did want to get y'all's take on, it was 3rd and 4. They had, 1 timeout left. Why do we not run the ball there, make them burn the timeout? Obviously, they got to kick an onside kick. That's, practically impossible to catch now. Take it that, you got to let everyone know before it happens. So, what do y'all think about that what happened there.
Tyree, appreciate the call. We've gotten a few calls about that, and Tiki Barber talked about it a ton on the postgame show last night, and we get where you're coming from on that. We understand.
And you know what? Sean Payton has been known to dare other coaches in terms of his onside kick selections, as we remember when he was with the Saints. I was almost thinking he might even try it on that first touch, after we got that first touchdown to make it a 2-score game.
You think? That's interesting.
I thought he might try it.
I think with 3 timeouts, you're not there yet.
Again, I think he made the right call, obviously,
Right.
but I bet you he contemplated it.
And by the way,
I know that guy.
And I will say this again. Brian Dable could have had that conversation with Jackson Dart before the play. Like, Jackson, look, I believe in you.
Possibly.
You're my guy. And Mike Kafka, too, and Shea Tierney. Remember, you have a timeout after the previous play. So you can have a small conversation during that timeout on the sideline before the play.
Good.
Brian Dable could have very much said to Jackson Dart, look, Jackson, you've made plays for us all game. You've been very promising the first 3 starts of your career. Without saying this, but you know what I mean. We're going to give you a chance here to win this game and seal it away. But, understand, you cannot give the ball away on this. Like, under no circumstances, if this is a contested catch, if some guy's grabbing your leg as you're throwing it, whatever, can you put this ball in any sort of danger? And that conversation might have happened. Now, Tiki made the argument last night. He's a rookie. You can't put him in that situation. I get that argument too. But at some point, and Jackson Dart, again, took the heat for his decision after the game, you cannot make that play. Even if it's an incomplete pass. Is that ideal? No. You leave the Broncos with a timeout. But you're still punting the ball away, and you're making them go the length of the field instead of giving it to them in your own territory. So, I don't know what that conversation was like. I don't know what was said. But no, that would it surprise me if that conversation happened before that third down play? No, that would not surprise me if that conversation happened.
Game flow is so important. And there was a chance for the Giants to control the narrative and the game flow. And instead, they wound up giving it away. I will say this, Tom Green, the legendary FDU basketball coach here in New Jersey, a friend of mine, and John knows him well, always says the best thing about freshmen is that they're going to be sophomores.
Nah.
And the truth is,
it's a good line.
Yes, rookies will be rookies.
Yeah, and when you're depending on a lot of younger players, which the Giants are, especially at positions that handle the football an awful lot, I think that's what you get sometimes. And even with that play, though, they still had every opportunity to win this game. And
yes, they did.
Yes, they did. To your point, Jackson came back, drew a big defensive pass interference penalty, made a big play on a 4th and 19, and they had a chance to win the game anyway. And they, once again, just failed to make the plays necessary to close this one out. All right, everybody. That's all we got here for Big Blue Kickoff Live. Just a reminder, this is the last week you hear me reading this, folks, but just want to remind everybody, this week, the Giants Foundation 5K race is here. It's coming your way this Sunday, October 26th, 9 a.m., MetLife Stadium. Net proceeds will benefit the Giants Foundation. All participants will receive a commemorative T-shirt. After the race, stay for a festival. Giants legends will be there. Tiki Barber is one of them. I think Casillas is going to be there too, if I'm not mistaken. And a live DJ. Register now at Giants.com/5K. The Giants Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. Guys, the reason this is cool is neither the Jets or the Giants are home next week, which is why they're able to do this.
Right.
You literally run, I think the finish line's in the stadium, right, if I'm not mistaken?
I don't know, because every time they do it, we're away, and I can't participate.
I've seen video of prior races, and I see people running across a finish line in the stadium. So I think you get to run up the ramp, and that's kind of the last lap of the race, and you get to kind of run into the stadium.
Okay.
I think that's how it works. I could be wrong, Johnny Mac. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I think it's there. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. But it's cool. You get to be around the stadium. You get to be here. You get a T-shirt. You get to hang out. Giants legends, all that stuff. It's a lot of fun. So go again, Giants.com/5K to sign up. For Paul Dottino, I am John Schmeelk. Thanks for being with us on Big Blue Kickoff Live. You might think I know who's on the show tomorrow. I don't. So tune in tomorrow and find out. From the Hackensack Meridian Health Podcast Studio, keep getting better. That's Big Blue Kickoff Live presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the Giants. We'll see you tomorrow at 12:30, everybody.